Hi, I'm Jackie and welcome to my magical home. I hope you're ready for some Halloween motivation today because we are going to be putting together my 2022 graveyard. And I love to add the spooky elements and just give that extra magic to the Halloween season. It is my absolute favorite. I hope that you really enjoy today's video and don't forget to stay tuned to the end because I'm going to be showing you how I do a DIY makeover on a broken grave and you do not want to miss it. Anyways though, let's get this fun started.
When I go to set up my graveyard, one of the first things I like to do is take the graves that I think would be appropriate in an area and set them out and kind of get an idea of what they would look like spaced out, make sure that nothing is too similar to each other. I like to have the differences in my graves because I feel like it gives it a little bit more realism. And then you'll find that I come back in and I start to hammer things in. And I've done this because, trials and finding that I will move things a zillion times if I don't. But if I take the extra little couple minutes to just set everything out and really think it through, I find that I am always much happier with the product that I have. So when it comes to keeping your graves up, I actually prefer to use reeds that you can find in your local hardware store. You can find them in the garden section, and they generally come in a 10-pack to 25-pack, and they're about 6 feet long. We go ahead and cut them, and I either put them on each side of the grave to help keep them from falling over from heavy winds, or in some of my graves, I've actually taken PVC pipe that I've cut and glued onto the back, and I actually fit those onto the reeds. And it has helped to keep my graves up in over 65-mile-an-hour winds. And when I haven't done that, sometimes we have some disastrous results, like you will see in a grave that we have to refix at the end of this episode. So let's start working on the other side of the garden. This is one of our pumpkin patches where we have already removed all the pumpkins this year, and my husband's just going to put down that palette for me so that I can turn it into my Sanderson Sisters hellscape in a little bit. And I'm just going to bring in all of the different graves that I have left and try to decide where I'd like them. Now this one that I'm setting in the back is actually the one that broke last year, and I need to do a little bit of a makeover, and I'm going to take you with me and show you how I do it step by step at the end of today's video. I hope that you will stick around and check it out. I ended up making pool noodle candles, and you guys, I was so happy with them. I cannot believe how much people are not raving about this and why everyone is not doing it, because they turned out fantastic, and I can't wait to make more next year. As you can see right now, I'm bringing in kind of a different style grave. These are made from old pallets, and they have the names of all the Sanderson sisters, and we're going to put them in front of this pallet, and later I'm going to be bringing in lights to weave underneath so that it looks like, it's like a hellscape and the Sanderson sisters are trying to break out. After that, we are going to head over to my grave next door and make the easiest but most impressive looking accent when I bring in a piece of brown burlap and put it down in front of the grave, add a little bit of dirt on the sides of it, and it looks like a dug up grave from afar. I hope that you guys will try that out. I want to make so many more. I love the way that it looks. But at this point, I had to be running inside and actually taking in a couple of my graves because we had an insane storm with heavy winds, as you could see. But I came back the next day to add all of the little extra accents. In a minute, I'm going to take you inside and I'm going to show you the different lights that I'm going to be using this year, and then we will come out and use a little bit of editing magic to snap them in place.
So before I head back outside, I wanted to take a second to talk to you about Halloween lighting, because in my opinion, it can either make or break your decor. Now, I'm going to show you all of the different kinds of pieces that we will be using outside, but first up, I want to show you some new pieces that were sent to me by Olafus. So these are the lights that Olafus sent me this year. They are 25-watt LED lights that can color change and you can actually make them dimmer and brighter. You can set them into different sequences of color. I am just so impressed by them. Not only are you going to see me using them in the Halloween decor today, I've also used them for outdoor lighting, and which makes it amazing, especially for events and parties. I know that I'm going to be using them for just so many fun, exciting events in the future. I can't wait to come up with new ideas to use these. I've also been using them for some of the photography that I've been doing recently, as well as my videos. Sometimes it's just fun to add some uplighting or backlighting in some different colors, as well as, I've actually been using it to change and fix, I guess you'd say, some of the color tones in my kitchen and other spaces where, because I do a lot of my filming at night, sometimes you get some shadows and things and they just kind of change the way that the colors actually look. And I've been able to use these lights to just make things look absolutely crisp and perfect and give me really even lighting in all of my videos. So I totally recommend these. They are available in the description down below. And let me show you the rest of the lights that I use. So these are the lights that I'm using. Obviously I have far more than you see here on the table, but you get an idea of all the different kinds. Now I have some of these LED C6 lights. I have them in purple and green, and we're going to be using these in my hellgate, as well as the garland that goes around my door. I also, for my porch this year, purchased this new flame LED bulb, and it's supposed to make it look like it's a torch and like it's actually on fire. So I'm really excited to see how that turns out. I have several of the lights that are like this, and they kind of project a swirl of different colors that move, and I have them in purple coloring tones as well as green. And in addition to that, I have these fun, just carnival-like circle bulbs, and I like to use those to line my walkway. And then of course we have these LED lights that I showed you a moment ago. Now I have these not only in the 25 watt ones that were sent to me this year, but I also have some 16 watt ones that I use as well. And those can actually dance to the music.
I would love to hear your opinion on my graveyard this year. I feel like the colors kind of added almost a little bit of a Corpse Bride, Tim Burton vibe, and I am really excited about it, especially how they shine up on my trees and make all of the leaves glow as well. But I would really love to hear your opinion, and I'd also like to hear how you feel about how it looks during the day, because I think that's also a really important aspect to your Halloween decor, because half of the time that people are going to see it, it's not going to be lit up, and a lot of the times you will find some that just look like a giant wired mess in the daytime and look fantastic at night. I like to have a happy medium in between. So now it is time to talk about the DIYs that I used for the graveyard this year. So I'm going to be as brief as I can. I have two things that I wanted to share with you. One were these adorable lanterns that I picked up at my local Dollar Tree, and I just gave them the quickest makeover by popping out the candle and painting them with some bronze spray paint to give them more of a metal-like lantern look, and they turned out absolutely perfect, and I couldn't be more excited to have something that looked so unique for so little money. Now we have reached that grave makeover, and you can see that there was a top that was on this grave originally, and it totally busted off in the winds last year. We had remarkably high winds, and this poor thing just didn't stand a chance. So I'm just going to use a razor blade and just try to scrape off all of the stuff that I have on top here. And then we're going to make some pool noodle candles. And you guys, they turned out so great. I want to make these for everything, and I can't wait to make more next year. And they are so easy, and the best part, so budget friendly. So as I'm sure you can see, I just started out by cutting the different lengths that I wanted my candles to be. I've seen online where people made really tall ones, but because we're going against those high winds, I wanted them to be a little bit shorter. And then I just come in and I basically cut a little circle in the top of where I want my candle to be, and so that my candle can fit right inside. After that, it's time to break out the hot glue, and I just go around the edges trying to create a little bit of a drip effect. And you'll actually see I actually add a couple drips just going down the sides of the candle as well. Once I finished adding those initial drips around the top of the candle, I just used hot glue to attach the candles together and then added those additional drips. Then I'm going to follow up by using some white spray paint to give them an initial coat. Now, I did not feel like it completely covered the foam, if I'm going to be honest. I did need to come in with some acrylic paints afterwards, but it did cut out a lot of time in trying to get those initial first coats going. So I do recommend the initial first layer of spray paint. So once I finished with my spray paint, it was time to attach these candles to the top of my grave. Now, I like to use Gorilla Glue for things like this because it just doesn't ever let me down. And so once that is attached, I did go ahead and touch up the gray paint on this as well. And I snapped it in because it just was kind of time consuming and I didn't want to waste all of your time doing that today. And then it was time to come back in with that hot glue gun. So when you burn a candle like this, it doesn't just stay on the candle, it gets everywhere, like everywhere, all around it. And I thought that my candles should depict that so that it had that realism as well. So I came in and just kind of made pools of wax all around my candles so that it would kind of hopefully give that effect. And then I came back through with the white paint. I touched up the candles to give them a good white coat as well. I mentioned earlier that I didn't feel like I had quite the white coat I was hoping for from my spray paint. And then I actually came back in afterwards because once that white paint had settled, I saw that the wax that I had put down actually had some grooves and divots that kind of went into it. I'll show you that in just a minute. And so I came back in with that hot glue gun once again and added even more drips to this. And I actually feel like it gave an even better effect because as candles are dripping, it kind of does it slowly. So you're going to have that dimension of several layers dripping down upon each other. And if it's just one layer, obviously that realism isn't there. So like I said, I just went ahead and touched up all those spaces, adding just a little bit of extra glue. And then I came back in and painted those as well. Now, when I did my final coat on these candles, I did add a little bit of brown and yellow to my paint to just give a little bit of realism as well. I know I keep saying that to give realism, but that's one of the key things that I'm looking for in my art. I'm not trying to make something that doesn't at least try to depict something real. But anyways, when you have something white, it doesn't ever stay white for long. So adding those couple little tones, I feel like just kind of gives a little bit more of a good touch to these candles. So for the last touch that I'm going to be adding to these graves today, I wanted to add a little bit of moss. And so I'm going to be taking green, yellow, and tan paints and adding them with some all craft glue. And I'm going to use this to hold down some actual real moss and put it around the corners and different spaces on my grave. This is such an experiment because I have no idea how this is going to last through not only the rest of the season, but also how it will last until next year. So if this lasts and it turns out well and this moss is still waiting for me next year, I can already tell you we are going to be coming in and adding moss to like every freaking grave. But in the meantime, I was really happy with how it looked on this one. I'd love to hear your opinions, not only on how this grave turned out today, but also how you feel about the graveyard. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will consider doing so right now because I have so much more fun content coming your way. Not only a couple more Halloween episodes coming this weekend, but also some other fun holiday content, movie nights, and so much more.
Alright, my friends, this is going to be the end of today's video. I hope that you really liked my graveyard as well as the DIY motivation at the end. Don't forget to say hi down below and to let me know what you think. Also, I hope that you will stay tuned to the channel because I have got even more Halloween content coming for you this weekend, and I hope that you have a spooktacular Halloween. I'll see you next time!